Hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about ways that you can lose weight without having to exercise. Now, I'm sorry if the audio is a little bit funny. I'm filming this when I'm in the middle of packing house. I don't have my normal microphone and all of that sort of thing. Now, if you've followed me for a while, you'll know that I am a huge advocate of exercise and just getting active, not necessarily from a weight loss perspective, but just for your general health and also for your mental health. But in saying that, I thought I would put together a video which can show you ways that you can lose weight without having to exercise. Exercise is not the worst thing in the world though, guys, just putting it out there. But I am aware that some people aren't able to exercise for whatever reason, so I thought I may as well put this video together. So I've got 8 tips for you here which will help you shed some kilos without having to go to the gym. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the tips. Number 1 is to cut out refined sugars and other processed snacks such as crisps or chips or whatever you want to call them, lollies, normal chocolates. You can swap to a dark chocolate which is high in antioxidants. We just want to be limiting the intake of foods that are going to spike our insulin levels and our blood sugar levels really high, which cause a crash later on. Because these type of cycles in our diet mean that we start to crave and depend on these foods. So when you cut them out, and trust me, it is easiest, it'll suck at first, but it is easiest in the long run if you cut them cold turkey. I'm not talking about cutting all carbohydrates. For some people that works, for other people it can be very bad, sorry. I'm talking about cutting out the really refined and processed foods. So we're talking like white table sugar and like those other foods that I mentioned before, biscuits, regular ice creams, regular chocolate, all of that sort of stuff. There are healthy alternatives for all of these things. Step number 2 is to eat at a calorie deficit. So the way that you can figure out your daily caloric needs, I have an equation in my Get Lean nutrition guide, which you can find linked in the description box. There are also calculators available online, or sometimes you can put it into apps like LifeSum and it'll figure out your calories for you. You're going to get different answers kind of everywhere that you go, so it's about coming up with an average that you feel works for you. And I would advise actually sticking to your maintenance level for a while, because if you haven't been watching what you're eating, you are probably eating far over your maintenance level intake. So to me, it's a little bit silly when people figure out what their daily caloric needs are and then they automatically come in with a deficit and they're eating, 200 or 300 calories less per day than their maintenance level because they want to lose weight. And when people go from here all the way to, skipping maintenance and going straight to a deficit, they start to wonder, why do they feel tired? Why do they feel moody? And how come they can't stick to their diet? And that's usually wise because you've taken such a dramatic hit in how much you're intaking each day. So that was Ducky, sorry. I would say if you're eating far over your calories, so start logging your food for a little bit, see what you are eating. Once you've figured out your maintenance level, sit at that maintenance level and eat that maintenance level daily for a couple of months, and you'll find a big difference from that. And then slowly you can work at decreasing and eating at a calorie deficit. Because yes, at the end of the day, calories in versus calories out can result in weight loss. It is very important what makes up those calories though. My next point is to eat smaller meals more frequently throughout the day. This will help keep your blood sugar levels stable, and it should help you stopping from getting into that cycle where you get too hungry and then you just want to grab whatever. You get too ravenous and you just order in takeaway or something like that. It may be an option for you as well to look at bringing snacks or something along with you in your handbag or backpack or whatever it is you take with you, just to make sure that you've got an option there in case you're stuck for hours on end without food. My next tip is about your water intake, and I know I swear it seems like water fixes everything, but water is actually great when it does come to weight loss. It also helps a heap of other things as well, as I'm sure you realize, but you want to make sure that you're drinking between 2, sometimes up to 4 liters of water per day. And this can depend on your height, your age, your gender, your physical activity level, and the temperature where it is where you live. This will aid in digestion, it will help you feel fuller, and you'll notice a very big increase in your energy levels when you are intaking enough water. 5 is to ditch or drastically cut down on the amount of alcohol that you're consuming. Not even thinking about the mixes that a lot of people put in with their alcohol, but straight alcohol has about 7 calories per gram. So let's say, for example, you're meant to be eating about 1,800 calories per day, and then you go out and have 10 drinks and get absolutely plastered. you're definitely going to be going over that calorie limit if you include your food as well for the day. So drinking in moderation or drinking only on special occasions is a really good idea if you can cut back to that, and even better is to cut it out completely, just to maybe a couple of times a year, or not at all if that's what you'd like to do. Not only on the calorie side of things, but I have mentioned this in a previous video as well, that alcohol can affect your human growth hormone, which will affect your gym performance or your exercise performance over the following 3 days after training, and your body won't be recovering as well as it should be. My next tip is to increase your protein intake. A lot of people find that when they start to log their food, they have a hard time actually hitting their protein levels. Having adequate protein in your diet is actually going to help you feel fuller for longer. It's going to increase the amount of muscle that your body is able to retain, because when we're losing weight, we still want to be able to keep that muscle mass, because higher lean tissue means that we will be able to burn our fat more effectively. Females can need anywhere from 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. That's if you're quite sedentary and don't do much exercise at all. If you are exercising though, although this video is not quite on that topic, but if you are exercising, if you're training quite hard, you can need up to 1.8 grams per kilo of body weight. Protein is also the food which is hardest to digest by your body, so it means it's going to spend more energy and burn more calories burning the protein rather than other food sources. Next point is to get more sleep. If you're only sleeping 4 or 5, sometimes even 6 hours a night, there are studies that do show that this amount of sleep is inadequate for humans, and your body isn't going to be using insulin as effectively, which means eventually you may become insulin resistant. This means that your body won't use fructose and glucose as well as it should, and it will end up storing these as fat. Sleep also helps keep your cortisol levels where they need to be. You don't want them too high from prolonged stress and chronic stress, which can happen throughout the day or weeks, months, years, however long you're feeling stressed for. If the cortisol levels are too high, eventually you can burn out and get to adrenal fatigue, which is when your adrenal glands don't pump out as much cortisol as they should, so then it's too low. You want it at that adequate level. You can get your cortisol tested via blood tests, but just making sure you're getting enough sleep each night and you are learning to relax a little bit more can definitely help with that cortisol. And my final point is to honestly track what you're eating. I don't care whether you use an app, whether you use my train journal. You can see there's space in here for you to fill out your food and your water and supplements, everything like that each day. You want to be tracking that, and you want to be tracking that honestly. It's very easy to eat little bits of things here and there and not count them and not consider them, but if you are trying to lose weight without doing the physical exertion side of things, so the activity to actually burn off excess calories, then you need to make sure you really are watching what you're eating. That's not to say if you exercise you can eat whatever you want. I'm not saying that at all, but typically people who do train quite regularly have a little bit more of a calorie allowance that they can play with throughout their day. Hope you're able to give these tips a go. If you want more tips, you can check out my blog, which is www.eatrunlift.me, or find me on Instagram and you can see the health and fitness related content that I post in my stories over there. I'll catch you guys in my next video. Bye!